Hi, Dr. Paul here. Have you felt the happiest in your life? This is a question I pose to every new patient that comes to my office. And again, they're in my office for a reason. They're either depressed, they're anxious, they have something going on with mental health. But this is a very important question for me, and I ask this because my goal is to achieve that state again. So here's the most common answers I hear. One of the most common answers is childhood, like elementary school. Why elementary school? Well, you're playing with your friends. You don't really have a lot of worries in life. Your parents pretty much take care of everything you need. It's more of like a carefree time of life. I rarely hear middle school, sometimes high school, but rarely. Why is that? Because of puberty. So that's the first hormonal change in life is with puberty. And so a lot of people, the happy-go-lucky kids, end up, becoming not so happy going into middle school, into high school. In high school, it can be a great time for some people who are into sports or whatever. But, some people really succumb to academic pressure and they're stressed out a lot because they're trying to get good grades. They want to get into a good college or whatever. So sometimes there's a lot of stress associated with that time of life. What's the other answer I hear the most commonly? It would be normally late teens into early mid-20s. Why is that? Again, carefree time of life. So a lot of people, you get out of high school, you move on in your life, you make a decision about school or career, trade school, college, whatever. But it's the time that's more carefree. You have fun, you party with your friends. You're not typically at the time of life, you're not tied down. You're typically not married and no kids yet. Not that marriage and kids are a bad thing. It's just that it's more responsibility, it's more stressful. So when I hear that, I write that down in my notes. And then in subsequent visits, I basically look back and I think to them, or I ask them, you told me back then this is where you felt your best. Are you there yet? And then sometimes they'll say, no, not fully. I go, well, how close are you? Are you 50% there? Are you 75% there? And you go, I'm about 50%. Okay, good. That's a good start. But what's the other 50%? So what I'll do is I'll ask them, what's not there, what's not getting you there, and their answers will really give me a lot of clarity as far as the next approach to treatment. And so whatever they say gives me clues about what's going on neurochemically in their nervous system, and then to let me know what the next step is going to be. And then when I get to the point, okay, now I'm 75% there. Okay, great. We're getting closer. What's the other 25%? And they'll tell me, and I go, so if I can get up to like 90, 95%, 100%, that's my goal. You don't always get to 100%, but if I can get close to that, that's the best goal. So again, this is the term we call clinical remission. And remission basically is a state of wellness, the state of being when you're the happiest, the most content, the least stress. Now, there are some people who don't have a good answer. They say some people don't have a great childhood. They have, they're a product of divorce maybe, or their parents fought a lot, or they're abused either emotionally, physically, sexually, which is the worst of all. So some people don't have that carefree childhood that they can look back at. And some people, when they're in their teens and late teens and 20s, they're not happy there either, because if you don't start with a happy foundation, it's sometimes, when you don't have a good foundation, it really sometimes is hard to translate into happiness later in life. So with people like this who don't, it's very satisfying for me to get them to actually feel what happiness really feels like. So when either someone tells me, yep, this is the old me again, I feel like I used to feel when I felt good, that's a great answer. When someone tells me, I never really even understand that you could feel this way, I didn't even understand that this is what happiness is. I didn't know that even people can, do people feel like this, like naturally sometimes? I go, yeah, sometimes they do. And so that's why, both of those answers are good, because either way, either case, my goal is to get the person either to feel that old self or to feel the happiness that they never felt before. And that's really satisfying when I see that in my practice, and when I've changed a life for the better, when I've gotten people out of the suicidal thinking, and then they want to live, and they want to live a happy, healthy life. And so that's my goal with every patient. And that's what you should be achieving with your doctor. If you're not getting that from your doctor, if you tell your doctor that I'm not feeling like I want to feel, and if you're not getting the answers, and they're not giving you solutions, seek someone who knows the answers. If you can't find the professional that can help you, contact me. I can help. And then we can go over all this information. So anyway, I wanted to know that what remission means and why it's so important. And thanks for listening.